Good morning, everyone. Let me try that again. There we go. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Happy Thursday, Rubber Duck Thursdays. We're here again. Good to see folks in the chat already joining in. So, hi, Poria. Hey, Playwright Work. Prashant. Hello. Ace for Spider, joining from the UK, just completed my first game jam. Tell me more. Tell me more about that. What is this game jam, and what did you build? Always love kind of seeing and hearing what folks are working on. Hey, McNett, good to see you again. Hope you're doing good. Javier from Manila, hello, welcome. Early, good morning, Mr. Duckfather. Is that now the title I am bestowed, the Duckfather? Love it. Anya Dika from the UK. Hello, welcome, welcome. And good to see folks all interacting with each other in the chat as well. So, excuse me if I'm a little distracted. I was just kind of building some stuff and running a dev server just before going live. So I was just keeping a kind of a watch on how that was going, so we can jump into things a bit later. But you know the deal. You know the deal. We're going to do a little bit of updates in terms of what has happened on the GitHub kind of changelog and what we've released recently. Then we'll go and talk about some fun, cool stuff that we're building. We're going to carry on where we were last week. We're going to carry on building a turn-based game MCP server. So we'll do maybe a super quick recap on that. I'll talk about some of the things I've got in the repository that helped me kind of get it set up and going. And then I'll also talk a bit about something called elicitation, which is something as part of the MCP spec, the Model Context Protocol specification, to basically get more information from a user. So already implemented, I'm going to kind of show you that, but there's definitely some like technical debt there. Built things quickly, got kind of parallel tool calls and methods going on, duplicate things going on. So I want to do a bit of tidying on that stuff up. So we'll do a bit of that as well. And that will probably be the session today. So you all know the deal. Tune in, relax, grab some snacks, grab some drinks, just relax. If you want to kind of program alongside or code alongside, that is cool as well. And actually the sample that we're working on, the stuff that I showed last week, is now published, is now public. So if you were one of the folks last week who was asking, good news, that's now available. I'll share that a little bit later here as well. So Faizan, hello. Muzanal from Pakistan, welcome, welcome. Playwright Work, thank you for sharing things. That's what we do here. We like to share. We like to learn together, because I don't know everything. You know, I don't even know what the right word is. So there we go. I definitely don't know everything. So learning just as much from you all as from me as well. So thank you for being here. Natarajan, hello from India. Sarah, hello. Ace Spider, GMTK Game Jam on itch.io, 3-day jam, theme of loop. We went for a time-traveling robot where you work with your past selves to solve puzzles. That is so fascinating. Like, does that mean that like you kind of kept state of where you were in like the game, and then you had to like kind of plan forward where you were? Because that would be a really interesting kind of game, really complex, but yeah, really interested to hear more. That sounds really cool. And we'll talk as well about For the Love of Code, where if you want to build more games, we've got a hackathon running where you could enter a game as one of the entries. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. Good morning, Usama. Kasa from Bangladesh. Hi, Saeed. Caleb from Australia. Wow, that must be super late right now. Thank you for joining. Kusa, hello. Angel from UAE. Playwright Work, you love GitHub, MCP, and Playwright MCP doing experiments. Yes, I did a blog post a few weeks ago, actually, about using the Playwright MCP to help diagnose and understand some UI bugs, and it's just so magical. I don't know if we'll use Playwright as much today, to be honest, but that's okay. It's definitely in my MCP config, so it will feature, but I don't know if we'll use it as much today. Rory, hello from the UK. Tavenda from India. Kunlun from Taiwan. Samaldine from Nigeria. LinkedIn user from France and Italy. So you like on the border and you're kind of jumping between? Like, how are you from both? Um, and then Sibyl from Ireland. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for spending your time with us today. So we're going to do the normal deal. We're going to jump into the changelog and see what is going on. So last week, July the 31st, a week ago, we're already in August. So let's go just zoom in a few clicks here to make sure you can see that. There we go. And first up, we've got NPM Trusted Publishing with OIDC generally available. So this is great. I'm a big fan of anything OpenID Connect and kind of authenticating that way. That means that we no longer need to use like passwords or some kind of secret token to go and authenticate to that service. So whenever I've been doing deployments in GitHub Actions, for example, I've typically been using OpenID Connect because you have this kind of short-lived token and you kind of have this trust between the service, between the action runner. What it looks like now is you can now publish to NPM with OpenID Connect. So, no longer needing those long-lived tokens. So great to see that, from GitHub Actions, GitLab CI/CD there as well. Eliminate token security risks, establishing that cryptographic trust. And getting automatic provenance as well. Amazing. So that's great, really great from a kind of a supply chain security kind of story there. So good to see that. Masunda, hello. I saw the question mark and I always like jumping in very quickly when I see question marks because I assume that means people are like, is this really live? Is this not live? We are live. So hello, welcome. Let me jump in with the chat a bit more. Water from UAE, hello. LinkedIn user, no, you live in France and now on holiday in Italy. I see. There we go. Wow, you're tuning in on your holidays for this. Well, thank you. But please make sure you do take the downtime as well. I know Rubber Duck Thursdays are fun. I would be biased, of course, but please make sure you take that downtime as well. Karachi from Namal. Islam, hello everyone. What are we going to talk about today? More MCP servers. So we'll carry on building from there and we'll do a few things along the way. So glad to have you with us. Tarun, hello from India. LinkedIn users. Sorry, I don't see a few LinkedIn user names. I do see few, but not all. So yeah, apologies if I'm not naming you there. I'm calling you out. Name's Craziness. Hello, welcome. Good to see you with us again. Idris from Morocco, Rex from London. Would it be possible to collaborate with me to create a demo? Very difficult to kind of collab on live streams, but let us know what you're working on. I'm sure there are folks who will kind of jump in with ideas and thoughts along the way as well. So let me carry on then with the updates here. Expanded the public preview for improved repository creation experience. This really tests me on Thursday, by the way. I feel like sometimes I haven't quite woken up when I'm reading some of these things, and they're like tongue twisters. Let's see. So that improved repository creation experience is expanding and moving to an opt-out preview. Got it. So now it's opt-in by default, and you can opt out if you want to. I've been using it for a while. It's great. A nice kind of logical flow, quick access to settings like repository properties, particularly useful if you're in that enterprise kind of setting. Pull requests, files changed public preview experience, July 31 updates. So you've got rich image and markdown diffs. Great, love to see that. Wonderful. For markdown and SVG files, you can toggle between a source view or a rich preview. Nice. Improved file tree ordering. And some other improvements there as well, some good quality of life updates. So again, good investments in that UI side. Right, enhanced control for enterprises using GitHub models and bring your own key. So we're rolling out a new enterprise level control for bring your own key in GitHub models. Going forwards, organizations with an enterprise will only be able to use custom models if the feature is enabled by an enterprise admin. If it's turned off, existing custom keys and models will be hidden and unavailable to users. So good from a governance perspective. Great. Cool. Copilot Chat unlocks new repository management skills. Oh, and of course, folks, sorry, I've completely forgotten to say, if you wanted to go and check out any of these updates, please use this link, gh.io/rdt/changelog. So that's gh.io/rdt/changelog. And then you can go and keep up to date with these updates yourself as well. So Copilot Chat unlocks new repository management skills. So it can now go create, update, and push files. That's cool. So describe changes to code, readmes, other project files. Copilot Chat will create, update files for you, saving time, reducing context switching. And this is in .com, by the way. So this is in GitHub.com. Create branches, start new features or experiments using Copilot Chat, and merge pull requests. So ask Copilot Chat for help with merging code changes. Cool. Cool. Good to see that. Okay, so some additional tools there in Copilot Chat and GitHub.com. GitHub Actions, new APIs, and Windows latest migration notice. GitHub Actions is launching a REST API for managing settings. Cool. Following settings are now accessible via these endpoints. Approval for running fork pull requests, workflows from contributors. Good. Allowing workflows on fork pull requests and private repos. Okay. Setting which repos can create repo-level self-hosted runners. Nice. And setting artifacts and log retention periods. So a lot of that kind of governance and management capability there, it sounds like, on the endpoints. So good to see that. What else have we got? What else? Updates on GitHub Copilot consumptive billing for GitHub Enterprise Cloud with data residency. So this is basically like GitHub Enterprise Cloud, but the tenant, if you like, the place where it's hosted is somewhere data resident. So you kind of pick that as part of that process. GitHub Enterprise Cloud with data residency uses, with Copilot Business and Copilot Enterprise plans, monthly allowance of premium requests per user. Usage exceeding the monthly allowance will be charged based on the premium models and features. Okay, cool. Good to see that. Next up, upcoming deprecation of GPU machine type and code spaces. So August the 29th, effectively they're just deprecating that GPU virtual machine type. So it won't be available if you have existing GPU code spaces. Recommend migrating those code spaces to a different machine type for August the 29th. So there we go. New API endpoints for listing and updating push protection configurations. Nice. So again, if you're updating and kind of managing some of that governance there around push protection, you now have a series of endpoints available. So listing enterprise pattern configurations, updating enterprise pattern configurations, and then the same at the organization level as well. So that's great to see. And any changes to those push protection settings now generate audit log events, giving you greater visibility into config updates. Wonderful. You probably saw it a few days ago. Claude Opus 4.1 is now in public preview in GitHub Copilot. So, Claude Opus 4 will remain available in a model picker, but it will be deprecated in 15 days. So effectively, 4.1 is the kind of newest version of that particular family of models. Go ahead and use 4.1. It's available to Copilot Enterprise and Pro Plus plans. So if you're on Copilot Enterprise, your admin will need to go and enable access to the model there through the policy. So yeah, make sure if you are using those models like Opus 4 already, that you get in touch with your enterprise admin to go and get Opus 4.1 enabled there. Good. What else have we got? Secret protection expands default pattern support and adds additional validators. So this is their kind of August update. So we can see here, you might just need to scroll along in that table there on the changelog. But we've got tokens from 1Password, AWS, Shopify, Azure, lots and lots of different things coming in there. A lot. We're only on B. There we go. And then some existing patterns have been updated. Existing alerts are not affected by pattern updates. So again, just that whole piece around secret scanning and secret protection, month on month, just keeps growing and growing, gets a lot of love. So good to see additional providers being supported there. So good. And then I think we've got our last few here. So Copilot coding agents improved pull request review experience. Let's see. You can delegate tasks here. It will work on the background. Based on user feedback, now Copilot coding agent will only respond when it's been explicitly mentioned with add Copilot. Because I think there were times where people were talking with each other on a pull request, and then Copilot would start working when it was, not intended for Copilot. So now you've got to be explicit in terms of saying, "Hey, Copilot, this is for you." So tagging it there. Yeah, so a good quality of life update there. It's kind of a practice I've been doing. You've probably seen that on the channel anyway. But I've been doing that for a little while. Spark improvements, enhanced reliability. That's ironic. Reliability, my words this morning are struggling. So reliability, not readability, seeds data and performance updates. So this week, we've focused on making Spark more reliable and responsive when building your apps. Fixed errors that prevented agent iterations from saving properly, resolved initialization failures that blocked new agent iterations, improved handling of multiple tool calls to speed up generations. Nice. And pre-populated seed data. When you create a new app, Spark now automatically populates your data store. That's cool. I like that. And then some additional improvements. Clear notifications when Spark experiences high demand. Upload video assets. Now properly displaying the app preview, published app links correctly open in new tabs, updated repository creation flow with confirmation dialog for easy access to created repositories. Great. So good set of quality of life updates there. If you have been using GPT-4o in Copilot Chat, it has now been deprecated. That's been kind of announced for a while. The replacement there, or the recommendation, is to now use GPT-4.1 as the alternative there. So that's now in place for the deprecation, is for Copilot Chat. So that includes the ask, edit, and the agent modes in the IDEs that are supported in github.com/Copilot and in GitHub Mobile then as well. But if you're using those code completions, it's still using GPT-4o for that. So yeah, it's for the chat pieces there. Copilot coding agents can automatically generate custom instructions. I saw this one pop up earlier. This was pretty cool. You'll get a little link the first time you use coding agents if it doesn't have those custom instructions. And it will say, hey, I can generate this for you if you like, and click this link to go and do that. So great to see that. And actually, there is also a recommended prompt in the documentation then as well. So if you wanted to kind of generate that manually, you can go and do that and use that as a starting point. So yeah, really, really good to see that. And then finally, Copilot Code Review. The Copilot Instructions MD support is now generally available. So earlier it was announced that it was in public preview. It's now generally available. As soon as you've added that Copilot instructions file to the repo, it will go and follow those for you effectively. So those are the updates for this week. So once again, th.io/rdt/changelog. Go ahead, take a look, and keep up to date there, folks. So let me go and take a look at the chat, because there's been a lot of conversation, and I have not been keeping up. Right, Pavan, hello from India. Vivek, hi from India. Juma from Angola. Sarah from Toronto. Wow, must be early there right now. Thanks for joining. active in web and AI. I mean, that's based in Germany. Can send connection request. Oh, okay. Cool. Hello from Kazakhstan, Daniel. We're from Nigeria. Shanaz from Paris. LinkedIn user, sorry, I don't see your name, but from UK, sunny Brighton. It's not so sunny in Reading. It's very grey and cloudy today, unfortunately. Tim Craziness, sharing a little update on your VS Code Insiders with Copilot, Gemini CLI, and Gemini Code Assist setup. Cool. So you're using kind of multiple different tools there for that. That's interesting. How are you finding that? Hello from South Africa, Nicolette. Hi, Abhishek from India. Axel from Cameroon. Norin, hello. Yep, thank you for resharing that link. Uday, hello. Ahmed from Bahrain, Nigeria. Jamaldine, hello. One from Bangladesh. Hello, Nicolette. Bye from the sun. I think the sun will be very, very hot, Hartwell. Irish from India. Michelle from Pakistan. Jan, Trace. What are the best practices for designing a scalable and secure MCP server architecture for a turn-based game? Probably take a look at the Model Context Protocol website, modelcontextprotocol.io. They have kind of the specification there and list all of the recommended practices. I think that's probably a good place to go to, because it really depends. Like, is it, there's not a one kind of answer for that. We'll talk a little bit about how this kind of been working on this sample, but yeah, there's not one real answer for that. Such a broad question. Kawanch from Turkmenistan. Maud, hello. Ethel, hi. Hope you have a pleasant day as well. Kausa, hello. LinkedIn user, love the instructions and prompt files. Yep, likewise. I haven't used the new open source model yet, Sarthak, so curious if anyone else has. Timusimi from Rwanda, hello from Tunisia, from Brazil, from India, from Thailand, from India, and Greece. There we go. Good. Okay. So before we jump in, one final reminder, gh.io/rdt/changelog. Go take a look at that. And apologies if I'm pointing in the wrong place, because I think my camera feed gets flipped. So I realized when I watched back previous streams, I'm like pointing over here, but then it's in the other corner. So I suspect it's like somewhere around here, maybe. Hopefully. There we go. Anyway, next up, let's talk about gh.io/love-of-code. So we talked about this for the last couple of weeks. Just a reminder, the Love of Code is a summer hackathon for joyful, ridiculous, and wildly creative projects. So if you've had an idea that you've always wanted to go and build something, or you've got that domain name that you've registered and never quite used it, or there's just been something that you've kind of got, nagging away at you in your mind, take a look at this hackathon. It runs from July 16th to September 22nd, so still plenty of time to get involved. There are some prizes. Go and take a look at the terms and conditions on the page. But, the first one is to do with hardware, so buttons, beeps, and blinking lights. Second is around AI, so agents of change. Third is around terminal talent, so the CLI. Category 4 is game on, so our folks who were talking about game hackathons earlier, maybe you can make another game here. There we go. Worldwide Wonders for Category 5, so like web apps. And then everything but the kitchen sink. So for anything else that maybe doesn't fit in those other categories, you could drop that into Category 6. So definitely take a look at that. gh.io/love-of-code. Okay. What else have we got? We have also got, bring my screen up here. Just going to check I've got the right link before I do that. Yeah, we do. Cool. Great. Great, cool. That is this one. And so our community team have put a little bit of a challenge up, and that's using AI to go and explore a couple of repositories. So you don't have to make a contribution here. It looks like one of the skills they're kind of helping folks with here is how to use AI to go and explore a couple of repositories. So they've got some examples. So go and take a look at that one. gh.io/rdt-ai-skills-1. That is open until the 21st of August for this one. And there's some official rules there as well. But you could win a GitHub Shop voucher for participating. So obviously go and read the rules and go and take a look at that one as well. Lots of fun things to get involved with this week. And thank you, LinkedIn user. I was pointing in the correct corner for the short link. So over here. Good. Right. So that's that one. What else have we got? That was it. We can get on to the main event today, which I realized I also don't have a link for that one yet. Bear with me. Oops. Yep. Right. And double check that's right. Yes, it is. Cool. So, let me go and share my screen with that. There we go. So, gh.io/rdt/game-MCP. That's what we're going to be working on today. That is the sample that we started working on last week. So it's not production ready, it's not like perfect. We're going to keep iterating on it over these streams because there's definitely technical debt and things that we need to kind of go and work on, etc. That's what we do here. We go and keep iterating and working on stuff. So that repo is here. Let me go and zoom in. There we go. So GitHub samples, turn-based game, MCP. And I've actually already made a fork of it. But this is what we're going to be using today. Because then I will kind of push, raise pull requests, push my changes up, etc. But this is what we've been working on. I'll leave that link there for just another moment to make sure that you've got it. And then we will carry on. So, what are we going to do? I will tell you. And it might be easier if I kind of recap what we did last week and kind of talk about kind of the current state of that MCP server and something I've been working on. So let's go and look at it in action, actually. I've got my app running over here, and we got a couple of games. We got tic-tac-toe, we got rock, paper, scissors. So we can go and play a game. We can go and create a game from over here. We can go and join an existing game over here if we wanted, and we can go and play that. I'm going to go and make my move in that top left-hand corner. There we go. And then we can go and bear with me whilst I just sort some of my screen setup. One sec. Yeah, we're good. There we go. We can go and play that game. Did I turn on the MCP server again? Let me just restart it. There we go. Well, I can say something like, let's play game blah. There we go. So it's analyzing the game, and then it'll go and play that. So effectively, we are, playing against Copilot. As we explained last week, it's really the MCP server that's doing the magic here. So it's got a number of tool calls, and things like making a tic-tac-toe move, creating a game, analyzing the game. It's not the large language model which is deciding where to kind of place the pieces. There's some kind of coded logic in the MCP server. So when we get one of those play move tool calls, there is a handler behind the scenes that is looking at the state of the board and then kind of making the move based on whether it's easy, whether it's medium, or whether it's hard. But that is what we were working on last week. And one of the things that is possible in the model context protocol spec, and this is fairly new actually, I think this came out last month. This is something called elicitation. So elicitation is basically a fancy word, a fancy way of saying, if we don't have all the information, we need to go and get it. So if you think about it, other way, there we go. If I wanted to create a new game, so create a game of tic-tac-toe. There's a few pieces of information here that it's missing, right? Like, who goes first? Do I go first? Does the computer go first? What difficulty do I want it to be? What is my name? Because by default, when I go and take a look at that game, it will just call me player. And that's fine, but I want a nicer, kind of cleaner user experience. But it just calls me player. I've gone first, and it's defaulted to medium. So I'll just zoom in a bit so that's really, really clear there. There we go. My name is player, medium, and I'm going first, as you can see here. But what if I wanted to go and update the game so that when we create a game, if it doesn't have all the information, it then comes back and says, hey, you want to create a game, but who goes first? What difficulty do you want? Oh, by the way, what's your name? So it's just kind of a way of making sure we've got all the needed information before we go and progress forwards. And actually, I had a limitation in the current implementation as well, by the way, that the player would always go first, regardless. So it was a bit of, for tic-tac-toe anyway. And in fact, for rock, paper, scissors as well. But I wanted to make sure that, we had that choice. So it was a way of me kind of extending the capability of the game there. So what I have done in the meantime is I've started working on another branch. I think I raised it as a pull request, so I don't remember now. Actually, no, I mustn't have done. Oh, no, I did. Did I? Either way. I've started working on this other branch. So let me go and just stop the server. Let me go and rebuild all of the code for the MCP server. And we'll go and stop the MCP server as well. We've got 6 tools there and 7 prompts. That was from the main branch. We can see there 6 tools, 7 prompts. Waiting for that to build. There we go. Great. As we start again, we can see we've now got 8 tools and 7 prompts. So this is what I was saying earlier, that I've got some cleanup to do because I've basically duplicated some of those tools right now, and we can do some consolidation. So that's what we'll do a bit later. But you can clearly see now we've got a different version of that MCP server running locally. So when I go now and say, let's play a game of tic-tac-toe, I'm not going to push that just yet. Let me go back to the docs and kind of show you what is happening. So when we make that tool call, the MCP server realizes that it needs to go and initiate elicitation. It needs to go and check for all of the inputs. So it might go and say, hey, what level of difficulty do you want? What do you want to go first? What is your name? So I could say something like, let's play a game of tic-tac-toe. The server will initiate that. It goes to the MCP client. The client in this instance is something created within VS Code. It's kind of that relationship. And there's always a one-to-one relationship between the MCP client and the MCP server. So that client then is what talks to VS Code and gives you that prompt to say, hey, you need more information. That presents that UI that we'll see in a moment. I, the user, go and supply the information. The client then sends that back to the server, and our server then carries on with the rest of the flow. So let's go see that in action. So let's play a game of tic-tac-toe. I'd be happy to play a game of tic-tac-toe. So this is the problem right now, and I'm glad it's actually gone and done this. And actually, I didn't restart my server as well, so that's why that failed. But because I've got multiple tool definitions, which are very similar, this is actually a really, really important point to note here. Let me go find my tool definitions. There we go. Right. So we've got one tool called play tic-tac-toe. But we've got another tool. Oh, sorry, no. Let me start again. We've got one tool. Here we go. We've got one tool called create tic-tac-toe game. But we've got another tool called create tic-tac-toe game interactive. That's confusing, right? This is kind of the tech debt that I've accumulated because I've just built a separate tool rather than changing the old one. And we'll tweak that in a bit. We'll evolve that. That's okay. But because we've got two very similar names and two very similar definitions, the MCP, Copilot, doesn't know which tool to go and pick. And it picked incorrectly, not because, it's Copilot's problem, because I've given it two tools which are very, very similar. And this is something really important when you're thinking about when you're giving these AI agents like Copilot or whatever tool you're using. When you're giving it access to MCP tools, if there's multiple tools which are kind of similar, you might get that kind of unpredictable side where it doesn't quite know which tool to go and use. So I need to go and clean some stuff up there. But let me go and be a bit more specific and just call it interactive mode so it knows that it's going to go and do that. And the other thing I'm going to do is just run my web app again, just so we've got that API behind the scenes. As a reminder, the way the MCP server is getting that game information is through this local API that we're running here. So, try that again. New session. Let's play a game of tic-tac-toe. There we go. It's going to start an interactive tic-tac-toe game. No, you're not. No, you're not. No. Let me go and see. I mean, there is another way I can do this. Oh, that might be why it doesn't seem to be seeing the tools. Let me go and see what's going on. Those are them. Stop. Start. Let's just do a restart for good measure as well. Right, discovered 8 tools. Good. There we go. You can see we got create tic-tac-toe game interactive now this time around. Let me try that again. So let's play that with interactive mode, just so we're navigating it to the right tool, call it. There we go. And now you can see we've got this different experience to what we saw earlier. So it's running this tool, and immediately it's come back and said, hey, we need your input here. So what's actually going on? How's that working? So in our server, we have a number of tool definitions. Let me go to my tool definitions for that. And we have a definition for create tic-tac-toe game interactive. Now, as we scroll down and look at our tool handler, remember, whenever one of those tools is invoked, in reality, the MCP server is just making a function call. So, handler method. So we've got a handler for this play tic-tac-toe interactive. Oh, sorry, create tic-tac-toe interactive. So here you can see, right, it's calling this method create game interactive. So I took too long there, timed out, so it went with some defaults. So that's why it kind of carried on there for a sec. Let me go and take a look at that method. And we'll run it again there. There we go. So when we have create game interactive, it first checks that the kind of MCP server instance has been pushed past in. But then we try and elicit the user preferences. So pass in the game ID, player name is player, and an AI difficulty is medium. As we go, again, if you see it time out, what you'll see by default is it will go for the player as the name and medium as the name. So we'll let that time out once again there. Now, of course, I could either respond and kind of accept that and go through and choose my specific things, or I can cancel that. If we cancel, as an example, we should see, there we go, the interactive session was declined, but now it's fell back to the original one. So you can see why we want to get rid of that original tool call there. Let me do one more time, but this time let's accept it. What is happening when we go and elicit those game creation preferences is you can see we've got a few schemas. So for tic-tac-toe, we're expecting an easy, medium, or hard as the difficulty, a player symbol, and the player name. So you can see here, we're starting with this message, let's set up your tic-tac-toe game. I'll need a few preferences to customize your experience. Great. Let's go and respond to that. The first one being, what difficulty should we have? So how challenging should the AI opponent be? We want it to be hard. Do I want to go first or second? Well, X always goes first, so let's go for O. And what should we call you in the game? You'll call me Chris. There we go. You can see those inputs have been passed in there in that input box on the right-hand side. You can see, right, perfect. I've created an interactive tic-tac-toe game for you, Chris. Your name is Chris. Your symbol is O. The AI difficulty is hard. There's the game ID. Wonderful. So let me go and navigate back to the app. We'll join by that specific ID. And there we go. My turn. Chris, not player anymore, but Chris. We're playing. AI has made its move, so now it's my go. There we go. And you can see it was waiting for my move because that wait tool call. And now it's played its go on the top row there. And you can see how we've just given this kind of additional way of interacting with the game. Because before it would always be me making that first move, not the AI. So we've been able to kind of tailor that experience with thanks to elicitation. And you can think of how that could be really important. You know, if there's certain things that you must have when you're making a tool call, you can go and set up that elicitation step for that. So there we go. Something I haven't tried yet, I'm just curious. Let me play a game of tic-tac-toe interactive mode. My name is B. I would like to be O, and I will go for easy mode. What happens if I specify those all up front? Does it pass those in? It does not. Okay. So I probably need some kind of check to kind of determine whether we even need to go through that elicitation step. Because right now it's being passed with kind of no inputs. So we'd go easy, we go O, and we go C. So that's, again, a kind of a quality of life thing that I need to improve on this MCP server here. But you can see the idea behind it is to go and gather that information. And there we go, the AI has made its opening move. We'll see this time that it's not as intelligent because it's in easy mode. And I'll show you why in a sec. Yep, the GitHub repository, folks, by the way. We shared it earlier, is gh.io/rdt/game-mcp. So yeah, go and take a look at that one there. There we go. So we just need to prompt it and say, time for your mode. I made mine in your app. There we go. So we need to go and block that one. Great. So obviously now I can go and pick that. There we go. And obviously it's made a suboptimal move. So now I can go and win. I'm going to remove that banner again there. There we go. So the way, again, just if you weren't here last week, what is happening is we have these tool calls over here. Create tic-tac-toe game interactive, etc. We also have this play tic-tac-toe tool call here, which is what you kept seeing pop up from Copilot here. So it's kind of invoking that tool call. So it then goes and has a method for play game. And then effectively it's going and making a move. And it's making a different move based upon whether it's a random move, whether it's easy, whether it's medium, whether it's hard. So if it's easy, it's just making a random move. There's no kind of logic to it whatsoever. It's just random. Medium, I can't remember what we did for medium. There we go. Win if possible, block opponent from winning, take the center if available, take a corner. So it's kind of like a rule book. What's the word? I can't think of the word, but kind of an ordered set of rules there. Whereas in hard mode, we just scroll down, make optimal move. It's using a minimax algorithm then to go and find the best move. So, like I say, it's not the AI choosing where to go. The AI, the large language model, is using the MCP server, and the MCP server invokes one of the tools, that play tic-tac-toe tool call. And that tool just takes whatever difficulty is that game is, and then goes and makes one of those kind of method calls then. So either an optimal move, as you can see, where's my mouse gone? Here, there we go. An optimal move here, a medium move here, or a random move then as well. So yeah, that's the magic behind it. So there's probably a couple of things that we want to do here. I think first off, we want to go and do some cleanup. Because we got those multiple tool calls which are very similar. The play tic-tac-toe game and the create tic-tac-toe game. I'm going to keep doing this, geez. Create tic-tac-toe game and create tic-tac-toe interactive game. So let's go and do some cleanup there. So I used Copilot a bit earlier to go and generate kind of an example GitHub issue for us. So I'm just going to ask it and say, hey, please can you go and begin implementing changes in the spec consolidate game creation tools. Thanks. So let that go and run. There we go. And just so you know what it's been asked to do, we want to update the tool definition. So we're removing the legacy ones, so those ones without the interactive name in it. We're renaming the interactive ones, be that original kind of name. And then we're also going to refactor eventually into just a generic create game tool. So we're just doing some consolidation. That's what we're doing here. So we're going to need to consolidate the tool handlers. We're going to need to update the function signatures there then as well, update some tests and update some documentation in that as well. And you can see there the potential generic implementation of that, and then some migration considerations there then as well. So that's what we've kind of set Copilot to go and do right now. So we'll let it go and do its thing. It's been racing through that. There we go. Update the tool definitions. So it's getting rid of that definition there. Oops. Yeah, good. Yeah, so I'm gonna come away from VS Code anyway, because it's now kind of running some tests and different bits and pieces. So we'll let that carry on doing its thing. Oh, while that is happening, what I wanted to talk about was some of the foundations that I've set up in the repository and why I set those things up as well. Mavly Gamers, who codes in Light Theme? Me. The reason being I have VS Code insiders in dark mode, so then I know whether I'm in my kind of stable VS Code or my insiders VS Code. So that's why I have the difference between the two, if you're interested. But yes, I do. So there we go. Right. Let's go and take a look at a couple of bits. Hi, LinkedIn user. I don't see your name, so apologies, but hello. I just see LinkedIn user. All right. Let me navigate back to my repo. Let me show a few things. Some of you may have heard about some of these before if you've been... Mavly Gamers. If you want to learn about MCP, take a look at our video from last week, because that's where we kind of explained what MCP is and some of those kind of initial concepts around what tools are, what resources are, what prompts are, and why you should care what MCP is as well. So take a look on the GitHub YouTube channel. Go under the live videos. You'll see the one from last week with a kind of similar blue banner, and you'll see that there as well. So take a look at that one from last week is what I would suggest. So, yes, if you have been on a few of these streams in the past, you may have seen that I have a preference for making sure my repositories have certain things when they're set up ahead of time. So what do I like to make sure is in my repository from the offset? First up, a dev container. So dev container is there to help you make sure you've got a repeatable development environment. You can use this locally with VS Code if you've got Docker installed, or you can use this with GitHub Codespaces. So the reason I like this is the amount of times where I want to go and review a pull request, or I want to go and make a quick change. Maybe I'm on a different machine. Maybe I've got, maybe I haven't got everything installed locally for whatever reason. It allows me to get coding and get those changes made very, very quickly. So as an example, I could just go in here click on this create code space button, and then very quickly I will get an environment which has, the JavaScript dependencies installed on it and all those things that I need to get going. And that is why I like dev containers, is it gets rid of that problem. It works on my machine, and it helps multiple developers across the team. If any of you wants to go and make an open source contribution to this, you have that development environment nice and easily. You don't have to start fighting with tools and installing dependencies and all those things. And you can see as we navigate over, building the code space, so it might take a minute or two. But to be honest, it would probably take me a minute or two just to even find the docs to go and follow to go and install the needed dependencies, then start fighting through dependencies, etc. So that's why I like the dev container there as well. What else do I like? I like having a dependabot YAML file. So this helps me make sure that my dependencies that I'm using in the project are kept up to date. So there's kind of two flavors that you use with Dependabot. One is Dependabot security updates. And this, what you see here, is Dependabot version updates. So security updates is kind of that reactive stance where if a vulnerability is detected in a certain version of a package, you get an alert in your repository to say, hey, there's a vulnerability detected in this package. You probably want to go and bump it to this version. The difference is that what you see on screen here is we've configured Dependabot to be proactive. So we've configured Dependabot to say, hey, every week, can you go and check my GitHub Actions? Can you go and check my NPM packages to see if there's newer updates of those versions? So not necessarily, a vulnerability in them, just is there a new version? Help me stay on the latest and greatest. And what this allows you to do is stay ahead of that technical debt when there's inevitably major version changes, because you don't have to action those things straight away. But it at least puts it on the backlog for you. And then you can kind of keep up to date with that as part of your regular kind of process. So that's something that I try and do with all of the samples that we've got in this org here. Big fan of Dependabot version updates. And because they are raised as pull requests, the beauty then is that you get it raised as a pull request. We don't see it here now. Never mind. But it gets raised as a pull request and therefore triggers our GitHub action. As you can see down here, for these Dependabots branch that we merged last week, we were able to check the build, check things test, lint, etc., and run those checks. So it just helps us kind of with that loop of keeping things up to date. So that's why I like configuring those proactive Dependabot version updates there. What else? Copilot instructions file. Must have. Whether I'm using Copilot locally in Copilot agent mode in the IDE, or whether I'm using Copilot coding agent and assigning Copilot some tasks in the background. These are the set of instructions that Copilot will go and use to understand the concept and the context of your repository. So definitely recommend keeping this up to date. Obviously, I haven't updated it since last week, but we're going to be working on that as part of this. So it's something that I just need to kind of maintain. But that really does improve your experience with Copilot and gives it the knowledge in terms of what is the state of the repository. And then also workflows. So there's two in particular. Always having some kind of CI check. So in here, for example, I make sure we build the shared packages, we run our type checks, we build each of the different kind of packages there, and we do linting. I haven't put tests in there yet. I think we've got our tests now, so I can probably work on that as some check there as well. But making sure you run your tests, and it gives you just that kind of quality bar when you're kind of running those pull requests and bits and pieces and bringing in new changes. But also Copilot setup steps. So this is used when you're using GitHub Copilot coding agents. And this is how effectively Copilot's environment is set up ahead of time. So these are the dependencies that are kind of installed. It sets up Node version 20, and then it's installing the JavaScript dependencies for us, and then off it will go and do its work. So those are a few pieces that I like to make sure that I have installed. The other thing, if I just navigate into my settings a sec. Yeah, there we go. Good. Let me go and bring this back up. So I'm just in the repository settings here. Typically, I turn off like wikis and discussions and things like that when I don't need them, and projects as well. But what I've also do on a lot of my repos is turn on these three properties here. So always suggest updating pull request branches. So if there's a new change on the main branch, and I need to update kind of the downstream branch, there's a nice little update button that appears in the pull request, so we can have that. I normally prefer rebasing as much as I can, particularly with Dependable, but that's a discussion separately around preferences, like tabs and spaces. I also have this allow auto merge. So that allows folks who have the right kind of permissions to do so, instead of having to come in and hit merge when all the checks are passed, they can just hit this allow auto merge button. And then what that means is if all the required reviews take place and the checks pass in terms of the required checks, then great, that PR will automatically get merged. And then just to help with cleanup, automatically deleting head branches. So as soon as that PR is merged, deleting that branch then as a result. So there are a few of the additional kind of pieces that I like to make sure I have on my repository. There's probably more. Of course, there's always good things for you to include as well, like making sure you've got a code of conduct and a contributing file, like guiding people in terms of how they can contribute to the project, security guidelines, README, for example, as well, your license. And that just helps people understand how to contribute. Are they allowed to contribute? What's the purpose of the repository? I don't know if I said it, but the README as well, that is like the shop window. That is the kind of the front of the repository, right? And it gives you all the information that you kind of need. So those are the pieces that I always try and make sure I have before I really get going on any of my projects. So do make sure to kind of take a look at those. The other thing that's always helpful is on this top right corner over here, you can click this little settings cog to get into the repository details. You can write the description for the repository as well, so that comes up in like searches. But then you can also add topics as well to help make them more easily discoverable. And if you want to take part in For the Love of Code, then that is how you add the topics to the repository. By just going to this little cog just here. So those are the things I like to make sure are in place before I really get to work on my repository. Okay, so let's go jump back to VS Code. Let's go and see what's going on. Right. So it ran some tests, it ran integration tests. Good. It ran all of our tests. And then it added the generic tool for creating a game. Add the handler for the generic create game tool. Now let me run the tests again. Good, run the build. It's created like a simple script to verify that tool. I don't think I want that. Oh, it's actually gone and deleted that already too. Okay, cool. There we go, it's removed that. Instead, let me create a quick test. Okay. Now we've got 7 tools. Play tic-tac-toe, play rock, paper, scissors, wait for player move, create tic-tac-toe game. Okay. So now we want to consolidate these two into this one, I think. Faisal, to your question about your GitHub accounts being flagged and you have student benefits have been revoked, you'll need to go through support for that one. So you'll need to raise a support request on that, I'm afraid, and then they'll be able to take a look into that for you. Right, and then excellent all test pass. So now we updated the spec doc to mark the completed items, create a summary of what was accomplished. Cool. So we're kind of somewhere forward. We take a look at the thing here. So now it's got rid of those interactive versions. Okay, so it's consolidated those. I can kind of see that. Let's do a bit more then. Let's continue the consolidation. Instead of having, so Mavely Gamers, I mentioned a bit earlier, if you go and take a look at last week's live stream, we dove into what MCP is and some of those kind of core concepts. So yeah, I would definitely take a look at that one to kind of understand what MCP is, and then kind of jumping into this one then. Because yeah, we spent a good hour kind of talking about that last week, so definitely worth taking a look at that one, I think. So let's continue the consolidation. Instead of having a date game total for each game type, let's just have one generic one. Let's leave that there for now. Oh, I'm going to keep that existing context for now, just so Copilot knows what was done before. Cool. That's right. So we are changing. So we're moving the game-specific creation. Good. We're allowing two types of game, either tic-tac-toe or rock, paper, scissors. There's definitely some consolidation we can do there because we've got enums defined all the way through the code base. And we can do better with that. Okay, so we got one failure. Unknown tool, create tic-tac-toe game. Okay, but that's fine. So we need to remove that test. Or yeah, use the create game tool instead. Very good. Okay, they reference the old tool names. So, yep, you'll need to go and update that. Oh, was that? Ah, yes, it was. Very, very good. Yeah, I forgot that we did include them in some of the prompts, actually. And yeah, no worries, Mavely Gamers. Yeah, because we spent a good amount of time last week. Difficult to go into it in so much depth this week, but yeah, take a look at last week. And we have got a blog coming out as well, by the way. Basically like a recap of last week's session. So it's not quite out yet. I'm pushing to get it out as quick as we can. So that will also be useful, I think, as well. Because after we've done any of these streams, we try and kind of recap it as a blog post now. And that's just a little experiment we're trying out. So yeah, when that's out in a future stream, I'll let you all know, but not quite there yet. Obviously, we'll do similar with this one as well. Right, so Oops. Sorted a change. Ah, is that correct? I'm just going to go for the prompt handler.ts. There we go. Create game with game type tic-tac-toe. Good. Good, good. Now we have 5 tools. We've got create game, wait for player move, analyze game. You can see where we're going. We're going to go for a play game as well. But I just want to be iterative in how we're working with Copilot here. What I'm also going to do is just, oh, it already built it. Great, good. I'm going to restart that server. Then we should see fewer tools. Yep, 5 tools, good. So if we now go and create, that's kind of updated. So we just need to restart that. Might just need to refresh. Yeah, I might just need to refresh the UI here. That's okay. Right, so we've done playing tic-tac-toe, creating the games and got that generic now. So let's just go double check that implementation before we move on. So if we go into our tool handler, we can see that we've now just got create game as the tool call. We've got rid of all of those older versions, and it's either tic-tac-toe or rock, paper, scissors. And then when we go and do the create game, it's either got to be tic-tac-toe, rock, paper, scissors, and then it's creating a game with elicitation. Very good. So yeah, it creates the game with elicitation, and then it goes into our illicit game creation preferences where we've got the different schemas and the different setups. Well, that's good. That's now a lot more logical. I'm gonna keep. Well, no. Let me do this. Submit those. Consolidate game tools. Commit. Good. Keep. I'm gonna get rid of that one because I figured that might pop back up. Good. Now I'm just gonna reload window 1 second. Oh. Right. And then what I need to do now, I need to just check my tools now. Yeah, there we go. As soon as I bring this back up, and then we do hashtag create, you can see now we just got the create game tool. We don't have create game, tic-tac-toe game or create rock, paper, scissors game or any of those. That's good. That's as we want it to be. So now, let's continue the consolidation. Let's also consolidate the play tools, please. Okay. Yep, so let's consolidate the play tools. We have play tic-tac-toe, play rock, paper, scissors, and create a single generic play game tool. Right. Because where we had separate tools for each thing, we had very similar handlers for like tic-tac-toe versus rock, paper, scissors. And if we made more games in the future, we're just adding more and more unnecessary duplication. So it makes sense just to kind of consolidate these entry points, I think. And then, in the back end, in terms of those game logic, that will change based upon like the difficulty level. But you can see we're just kind of going through this refactoring exercise. Oops, didn't mean to click that. So one test failed, doing the same thing as it did before. It updated the tool call there to just be play game. And it's either a tic-tac-toe or rock, paper, scissors game. And then it's updating that handler there. So if we play the game and we instantiate that tool call, then we check if there's a game ID. If there's not, throw the error. Check if there's a game type. If there's not, throw the error. And then otherwise, we kind of call that play game method then. Good. Yep. And it's going to need to go and update the prompts as well. Oh, it already has, I think. Good. Nice. Full test pass. Good. Let's check everything builds. Good. Right, so we've now gone down from, I think, 8 tools down to 4 tools. Yep. That is fair. So it's just going through and updating a few bits for us there. There we go. Good. Good. I'm using this doc as like my spec for it to kind of keep updating and checking through there. Could use like a GitHub issue or something, but just using this instead. Okay, great. So now we've got create game, play game, analyze game, and wait for player move. Great set of tools. Nice. So now the moment of truth is this. I'm gonna commit those bits. Consolidate play tools. Because again, I'm on a separate branch here, so if I need to roll back or anything, all okay. Let's do that. Good. And next up, I want to go and change that again. And then to refresh the window, I just go and hit this reload window thing. I'm going to do that again here. All good. There we go. Right, so now about that, we should see 4 tools. When we come into here and go play, we just see play game. So let's play a game of tic-tac-toe. All right, it's running create game. It's got our elicitation. I'm going to cancel that. Let's play a game of rock, paper, scissors. Oh, that's interesting. That's another little bug here that I need to work on. And we've almost got like an infinite loop. So let's play a game of rock, paper, scissors. Let me set up a rock, paper, scissors game. What level? How many rounds should we play? 5. 7. Chris. But I haven't made the changes to rock, paper, scissors yet, so I don't know if this will actually work. This wasn't how I originally kind of designed it to work. We're finding out live. the best way to test things. Oh, goodness. Yeah, see, it's only round 1 of 3. Yeah, so hasn't it's taken that. It's not something I've enabled on the API yet, so I need to go and fix that as well. But if we go and say scissors, I think it's on medium there. Yeah, there's a few bugs that I need to go and work on and fix here. Okay, so it went paper. Let's go scissors again. It went rocks, the AI one. So let's go paper this time. There we go. And yeah, I've got this fun little bug where it goes to round 4 of 3 rather than. So there's a few bugs I need to iron out. I do know that. Can go and work on those off stream. But you can see how we've now consolidated from having those kind of duplicate kind of tool calls. And now I can start cleaning up some of that back-end code now as well. So if I start looking at the next tech debt thing that I've got here, before I do that, I've made some changes to the code base, and I want to check that tech debt deduplication is still accurate and up to date. Can you update the spec plan with the latest state of the code base and the changes we need to make to consolidate things? Make sure it's succinct. Thanks. There we go. So you can see what it's doing here is just searching the code base for like the latest state and things that we might want to go and refactor and work on. So I want to try and make this a bit more, maintainable. I kind of just went, we'll go and make it, see what happens. But yeah, trying to reduce some of that debt before we start fixing some of the bugs and investing in kind of new features then as well. That's good. So it's now got an understanding of the current state. Good. Okay, so let's see. Yep, nice. Nice. Constants are still duplicated, as I mentioned a bit earlier. Difficulty styling duplicated, same badge styling repeated in K. API root patterns duplicated. Okay. I see this is one that I can probably hand off Copilot coding agent to go and work on. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to push that up to the origin, which is my fork of that. I'm going to merge this into my fork here. And then I'm going to use Copilot coding agent on that, I think. Assume that I can set up issues here. Go. There we go. Cool. Try using one of the reasoning models. For what part exactly, Team Craziness? Curious what you're thinking there. I'm just going to move my camera a sec because it looks like it's. Go back. We are back. Right, where did I go? Did I make the PR? No, I didn't. Okay. That's in elicitation and let me go and do that there. I'm gonna squash. Oh, I'm in elicitation and there we go. Right, so I'm going into main elicitation. There we go. Create P. Oh, good. I'll just go and merge that into main for now, just because I want to get Copilot coding agent working. Oh, let me just do a couple of things off screen, folks. 1 second. Easier for me to just do it quickly that way. Cool. So let me. So all I did, folks, was I copied across what we had in that markdown file locally. Attacked that deduplication. Got the issue there. And Copilot coding agent is working on the PR for us. We'll go and view that session. So while that is happening, let me go and take a look at the chat. Hey, Arancia. Hey, Madassa. Nasa, hello. Bennington user. Awesome. Yeah, I agree, Mario. I think this is awesome. Mix the pick. Downloading a GGUFO, GTOSS. And decided to tune into the GitHub stream while you wait. Great. Well, thank you for being here. Using models will have a better grasp of your project. They'll provide better code when you provide it with context. Yeah, possibly, Team Craziness. Yeah, I guess with agent mode, the models that you can use are kind of limited compared to maybe edit mode, so that could be an interesting experiment. Um, I think for now, because I've got kind of a clear plan of what I want to do, I'm just going to hand it off to the coding agent for this one. But yeah, it could be an interesting experiment to try with edit mode, maybe with one of the reasoning models, possibly. Yeah. Uh, Good, LinkedIn user. Well, yeah, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time. Mixed pick. Stream information panels has a repeated word. DD world's most widely. I will feed back to the folks um who have that or have control over that panel. So thank you for pointing that out. Right, let's go and see what's going on. So it's going and viewing all the different files, building up its kind of context on things. So of course we're using the Copilot coding agent here. So we are handing off that refactoring now to Copilot coding agent for it to go and do some work for us. And as a reminder, because it's in the background, because it's kind of exploring and do its thing, it's asynchronous. So, it might take longer than we're used to in the IDE. It could take 10 minutes, it could take 25, 30, depending on whatever the task is and how well scoped we've made it. And we've talked about that in some previous sessions. And in fact, let me bring up a blog post because we also did a blog post on that as well. Ultraline. I think it was this one. Maybe not that one. What was that one? Yeah. There we go. This is one I wrote a few weeks ago. Feels a lot longer than that. Wow. Talking about Copilot custom instructions and the Copilot setup steps file there as well, and how these are some useful things to get set up when you're working with Copilot coding agent. So this is the example of one for another repository that I have, as well as the Copilot setup steps, the YAML file as well. And then I talk about just kind of the process of using that. For anyone interested, this Playwright, actually, if you're still with us, this was the blog post of the session where we used Playwright MCP server to fix some UI issues. That was a good fun one. Really enjoyed doing that one. Yeah, they're all on the GitHub blog. Go and find those on there. Right, let's go see. Oh no, we're on the coding agent now, aren't we? Book. There we go. Right, so what's the plan then? I always like to kind of look through this and see what it's kind of thinking. Look at the issue, description of code. Yeah. So we need to get rid of those hard-coded arrays of like games, well, the enums effectively. Difficulty badge duplication. Yeah. And the default values are hard-coded everywhere. That may be an overstatement, but I agree. It does feel like everywhere. Duplicate constants are there. Difficulty display duplication is there. So game constant. Yeah. Yeah. That's some type guards. Nice. Good. Yeah, that plan looks pretty solid. So we'll create that shared game constants File, export that, fine. Export that in the shared index, cool. And add type cards for validation functions, fine. And yeah, because then we don't need to be validating it all over the place. Creating a difficulty badge, extracting the difficulty display logic. Nice, that sounds good. Take both components, yeah, and verify the UI appearance remains identical. So, is it going to use Playwright for that? Possibly. There we go. I guess it could, because Playwright is installed by default on Copilot Coding Agent. Update MCP server handlers to use the shared constants. Nice, like that. And then go and test it all. So I need to go and create that. So we've got the game types which are supported there. Difficulties. Default player name. The default AI difficulty. Good. Standard player IDs used. One and AI. Fine. Easy, medium, hard. Good. Yep, so is supported game type is just going and basically doing an includes on that list up here. But, you know, semantically, or well, I can't think of the word, but if you're reading code, you know, you're reading it is if it's supported game type, like, is a lot more easier to grok. So that makes sense. Is valid difficulty. Fine again, good. Get game display name. Okay, so we're just doing a translation between the game slug. It's the official kind of names, that's fine. I'm getting difficulty display. Oh, so just getting the difficulty display. Where's difficulty display? Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, fine. That makes sense. So it's like a little helper function to just translate. Good. Constants, we're exporting that in-game constant. Nice. Exporting them up again. Build shared library. Found an error. Okay, so we've got some duplication. Great. I was creating that test file for that. So difficulties. Yeah, there's 3. Read only. Pushed and add to it. Good. I love that it chose extreme, which would kind of make sense for the kind of continuation. Should have display info for all. Good. Yeah, that all looks reasonable. All looks reasonable there to me. And it passed as well by looks of it. Oh no, game type should be read only. It didn't throw. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so there's a few things it needs to go and do. I think it's just how it was set up there. Some skips though. I did a skip. Oh, because we're just testing is valid difficulty. Right. Good. So phase 1 is complete. Added those shared constants to the kind of shared package that we've got. And that is shared between the MCP server and the kind of web app API that we've got there as well. CUI component consolidation, good. Let me create the difficulty badge component, extract the styling logic. Okay. Interesting is putting it in the shared there rather than Shared in the web app. I mean, I didn't specify, so that's on me. But oh, there we go. It's just creating it in the web there, in that web app as a component, shared component. Good. So we just got some helpers basically to go and change the classes on that component. Fine. Here it allows that. Nice. Like that. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, so just kind of building that and trying that out. I guess what'll be interesting is if the tests break. We might have some flaky tests with the kind of UI side of things there with the components. There's some importing issues. Okay. I see. It was just, oh, interesting. I mean, it's fine for this local kind of project for now, but ideally we don't want it to be depending on this, which is where I probably need to publish the packages, but that's fine for now. Okay, good. Anyway, you don't need to sit here and watch me just kind of watch coding agents go and update that stuff there. So we've done a fair amount there. We started off talking about elicitation, found a couple of bugs that we need to go and fix. So one about the elicitation just always executing, even if we've provided the information in the previous message. So we need a way to kind of pass that and understand that. And I think I know the way that we might need to do that. We also cleaned up a lot of our tool calls. So we consolidated all of our create game types. So we had a create game, tic-tac-toe, and interactive. We had create rock, paper, scissors, and interactive. We've now just changed that into just create game. We had play tic-tac-toe, we had play rock, paper, scissors, now we've got play game. So we're really consolidating those tool calls. Now we're going to start consolidating across the code base to make sure we got some some good dry principles in there. Don't repeat yourself, and trying to simplify things a bit in there. Yeah, that's what we did today. I'll kind of carry on with that on the side and just carry on with that cleanup. But I'm sure we'll carry on with that next week. Potentially, we'll carry on with just fixing some of those bugs and some additional cleanup. So, as always, Rubber Duck Thursdays, every Thursday. Although, actually, I will not be here next week or the week after. I'll be taking a break, and I think we'll be pausing this kind of time stream for the next couple of weeks. So we'll have a little bit of a break, actually. So obviously, if you want to kind of do anything with this time slot, what I would suggest is going and maybe taking a look at For the Love of Code. I'm going to bring that on screen one more time. gh.io/love-of-code. Do go and take a look at that. That is this kind of summer-long hackathon where you can go and do something based on hardware, on AI, with agents, in the CLI, as a game, as a web app, or something else. Go and take a look at all of the kind of instructions and the terms and conditions and all of those kind of things. But yes, that would be a good way to fill this hour if you're looking for something to fill it over the next couple of weeks. Kadesha will be streaming again later today. So it'll be 7 p.m. my time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time in America. And we'll make sure that GH.io Rubber Duck Thursdays is updated a little later today. So if you want to tune in at that point, you can just use that same link, or you can tune in on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitch. She'll be streaming across all those platforms. There, on that stream, I think she'll be doing some more stuff with MCP, actually. I think she'll be looking into the GitHub MCP server. So if you wanted to go and use that as part of your kind of day-to-day, and you wanted to learn a little bit more about it, then you can go and check out the GitHub MCP server with Kadesha later. Open Source Fridays tomorrow, of course, and otherwise, I will be back in a few weeks' time. So it won't be next week, it won't be the week after, it'll be the one after that, so towards the end of August. So definitely get involved in the hackathon. Love to see it, mix the picks. So please do. I'd love to hear what you build. Would love to hear what all of you go and build. So please do get involved in that. Some good fun prizes potentially up for grabs. And otherwise, I will see you all in a few weeks, folks. Thanks for tuning in, as always, and we will see you in a few weeks' time. Look after yourselves, and see you soon. Bye for now.